Hello to all the comic fans, Marvel geeks, and all the nerds in between. Welcome to another episode of the new and improved Vigilante Vibes, where I give you all the Marvel discussions, theories, and news without the toxicity that's become such a big part of the fandom. I'm your host, Megan Nicole, and today we have a very special guest. You've probably seen him as Wiccan in Hulkling and Wiccan, Love is Power. He's an actor, he's a hypnotist, even a balloon twister. Please welcome Evan
Gambardella.
Gambardella.
You almost got it.
I've said it to myself so many times. I was like, do not mess this up. And then it just shot up on me.
It's okay.
So why don't you tell our listeners a little about yourself?
Sure. So I'm an actor, like you said, but my main day job is working as a hypnotist. So I tour the country mostly for colleges and universities, doing a comedy hypnosis show that's not like your stereotypical hypnosis show. It's not like cluck like a chicken, bark like a dog. It's all about mental health. So I'll make people become the oldest versions of themselves, talking to the younger version, talking about things they regret or would have done differently. I have people overcoming fears and phobias live on stage, and the whole audience backing them up and cheering them on while they do it. And it's just a really feel-good time and something I'm very proud of, and I get to do it pretty much everywhere from the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, to, East and West Coast, the deserts of Texas, and the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. It's taught me a lot about this country and how mental health knows no boundaries or economic status or fill in the blank there.
Yeah, it's not choosy.
It's not choosy.
It has no standards. I love that. It's not every day you get to meet someone who gets to do that. Do you mind if I ask how you got into that?
No, it's okay. You can ask me. I got my start working as a magician. So I was trying to, for very selfish reasons, trying to make my show better, and wanted to make people forget their names. I thought that would be really cool in my show. So I was moving from children's magic into adult magic. I thought that'd be a really cool way to get more adult shows. I became an apprentice to a master hypnotist in Connecticut, the state that I'm from. And this man, Dan LaRosa is his name, he told me that I had to learn how to become a therapeutic hypnotist in order to become a stage hypnotist, because if something went wrong on stage, I'd have to know how to take care of it. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'll do it if I have to. But in the short of the long of it is, he taught me about how my mind worked for the very first time. And because of what I learned with this man, I not only became a hypnotist, but I was able to write a Me Too statement about something that was really traumatizing me back in my past. I published it. Other boys came forward talking about this man assaulting them in a similar way that he assaulted me when I was much younger. And then the Boston Globe contacted me, became this big story. He then quit the International Reviewers of New England, a theater reviewing group that he was in, and he then had to go to court, and I testified in front of different judges over the course of several years, and used self-hypnosis to, and I say this word not lightly, specifically survive that process, because the justice system is awful as it is, and it's even more awful to victims, or just awful in general. I wouldn't even say it's a comparison to game, but it's just a really shitty system, pardon my French, and because of what I was able to do and keep my ground and stay focused on the job at hand, I was able to get a judge to sentence him to prison for assaulting me, and he also had assaulted dozens of young men and children over the course of 50 years.
Oh my gosh.
So hypnosis became something that wasn't just about entertaining people, it became about helping people out. First and foremost myself, but then other people saw what I was doing. They said, hey, can you help me out? I have rape trauma. And I'm like, no, I'm an actor. Go away. I can't help you. I'm having a hard time helping myself right now. But then when I had my first client come in and I said, I'm just going to try this out and see if it works. She had rape trauma. She wanted to get pregnant. 6 months later, I get an email from her saying, the trigger work that you did with me, it worked, and now I'm pregnant, and I'm going to have a child.
Oh my God.
That changed my whole opinion of hypnosis, and going, oh, wait a second, this isn't a superpower. back to why we're here today, but this is actually something that, or I guess it is a superpower, but it's something that all of us possess. And it's a lot easier than I thought it was, and something that, if frankly we don't learn how to do, we're essentially giving away that power to what we consume, i.e. social media and entertainment.
That's amazing, first of all. It feels like all of this was just parts of one big plan to get you to where you're at now, because you've helped so many people. And then you helping yourself, you learned how to be able to help other people in other ways. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry you had to go through all that. The justice system is trash. People are trash.
It is trash, but people are also great, and I think 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted. 1 in 6 men, I think, are sexually assaulted. I think it's probably higher. Men just don't report it as much.
It's not talked about enough.
Women also don't report it, so I think it's a lot higher than those stats, and those stats are already high as it is. So it's not. The more I've talked about it candidly, the more I've realized just how remarkably normal this is.
Yeah.
And I think the more that we normalize it, the more people will feel empowered to come forward and talk about it, because one of the main reasons why 4 out of 1,000 sexual assaulters don't get any kind of prison time is because about half of the time people don't even come forward to begin with.
It's such a taboo thing, and I'm worried it always will be, but I do think with the Me Too movement and other movements that people, women mostly, men still, they just aren't coming forward, and it's horrible. Women, they'll come forward, but there's so much victim shaming, and it's all around a toxic thing for the victims.
Yes, and I think it's, again, I'm trying to find the silver linings in all this, because that's what literally, we attract what we pay attention to, right? So if, obviously what you're saying is true, and there's a lot of people that are still not coming forward, but compare 2018 and post-2018 Me Too to pre-2018 Me Too, the number of people, including myself, that came forward that didn't before, huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's one of the silver linings I'm looking for in the future when more movements like this happen. I'm just hoping that it just keeps encouraging people to feel empowered to do that, and to see other people doing it too, and to see that there's a pathway forward. I think that's why representation is so important. I mean, here to talk about Hulkling and Wiccan, I understand. So it's like, representation matters. Seeing people doing these things matters, because if you can see them doing it, then you can see yourself doing it too.
Yeah.
And it makes that living your life easier.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but it's actually allowing entertainment and media to hypnotize us, to teach us something is possible, because we can't even achieve it unless we think it's possible first.
Jesus, that hit me hard. My goodness, that's amazing. So I don't really know how to top that. Okay, so getting into Hulkling and Wiccan, Love is Power, I absolutely loved it. I love you as Wiccan. I love Nathaniel as Hulkling. I'm really bummed you guys are not Hulkling and Wiccan in real life. Like, you don't play the characters for Marvel, which you really should, because you guys absolutely nailed it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Wiccan's journey as a hero is so multifaceted. What aspects of the character resonated most with you when you first read the script?
Okay, so a couple things. One, there was not a script when Nathaniel approached me with this project. It was just a photo shoot.
Oh.
He just wanted to be... Well, see, here's the thing. He wanted to be Hulkling, and he wanted somebody to play Wiccan with him and do those photos with him, and to feel empowered enough to do that, because the characters just weren't mainstream. Agatha all along hadn't come out yet. It wasn't even a thought. We didn't even know if those characters were going to even be in the show. So he came to me and said, "Hey, are you interested in doing this photo shoot?" And I'm a pretty blunt person, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested, but why do you want to just do a photo shoot? You're an actor. I'm an actor. Why don't we do the scenes?" And he's like, "Oh, I guess we could. It's just it's not our IP." I was like, "Well, are we getting paid for this?" It's like, "No." Well, then
Yeah.
Let's give it a go. Let's see these characters come to life, not only for ourselves, but again, specificity is a tool of release. If it's specifically doing something for us, it's going to be doing something for other people. And for us, it was, what are the narratives that we wish we could have seen growing up that weren't out when we were kids and that still aren't out today. And there's a lot of Oscar-winning movies, played by straight actors no less, most of the time, about men coming out of the closet or deeply in the closet. So deeply in the closet that they're beating each other up or doing things that are very self-loathing, self-hating. And while all of that is certainly part of certain people's queer experiences and coming out, one of my favorite books is The Velvet Rage. It talks about the hardest part of a man's coming out journey is the years following coming out, not coming out itself.
Oh.
And that, to me, is what was interesting. Is like, where are the stories about the after happily ever after? If we even get there, because most of these movies aren't even about happily ever after. They're just about, wish I could have come out, but I'm going to kill myself instead. Like, that's not really a pathway that I want to see for myself. I want to see something else. And then even then, it was like Love, Simon, I think, was one of the first shows I saw about queer love and romance. And I was like, okay, cool, happily ever after. Great. Now what? What happens when they're like living together and have to figure out who's going to do the dishes? That was interesting to me. It's like, where's the queer relationships that aren't just about who they're having sex with? It's about living together and being in love with each other and what that really means, what intimacy really means. In the gay community, I think a lot of times we get intimacy and sex mixed up. I think just that's humanity in general.
Yeah.
Especially in the gay community. And I wanted to explore that, and so did Nathaniel, and that's kind of where the whole project was born from. And in terms of what really interests me about Wiccan, I think it was his superpowers. It was a lot of things about him, right? His personality, his quirks, his character. When I was reading the comics, I was just so fascinated by his personality. And but I think what really amazed me most about him was his powers and his weakness in particular, which we didn't really explore much on the show. But it's that he has to hear everything that he's casting, that he's spellcasting, in order for it to work.
Mm-hmm.
And as a hypnotist, I'm enamored with that, right? It's like what we say essentially is like casting a spell. Alan Moore is one of my favorite graphic novelists. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He did V for Vendetta, Watchmen.
Yeah.
So he says that magic in its earliest form is often referred to as the art. And he takes that to be literal. He thinks that art, whether it's writing, music, visual arts, dance, theater, is essentially magic. Because magic is the manipulation of symbols, words, or images in order to affect somebody's consciousness and change them with what you were saying or doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even the words around magic have to do with language. Think about it for a second. Grimoire, it's a book of spells, fancy way of saying grammar. Indeed, to cast a spell, simply to spell out somebody's consciousness and change them with your words. So if Wiccan has to hear what he's saying in order for it to work, it's almost as if I had to think to myself, like, what am I refusing to say to myself and hear in my own inner monologue that could give me a truth that I actually desire, but I'm just refusing to cast that spell? And that was just like one of the most fascinating, or not fascinating, but attractive parts of playing Wiccan for me.
You said so many things, and I liked every single one of them. I didn't realize there wasn't a script. I didn't realize it was just a photo shoot, and that's so crazy to me because, like, it looked like there was a casting going on, that there was a chemistry test, because you guys really did just like pop off the screen to me.
Thank you. We've known each other for I think since 2020 now, so there already was chemistry there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're both actors. We're both trained. We know what we're doing. Hopefully, if we do our work. But I think it maybe what you're talking about is the effortlessness. It felt like, and that's what it felt like for us, and that was because these characters really resonate with us personally. And I think that is a complaint that I have and a lot of queer people have about queer representation. A lot of queer characters aren't played by queer people.
Yeah.
That's fine. As long as you do a good job and you bring that character to life, that's great. But if you personally resonate with a character, I think it's undeniable the sparks that come through the screen, because then it means something more than just a job, you know?
Yeah, totally. I get that. Yeah, it's the passion that like seeps through, and I think that passion is easy to see from the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Hulkling and Wiccan, we see Wiccan's relationship with Hulkling at the forefront. We get a good look at it, very Modern Family style. How do you prepare for portraying this dynamic, especially in a story that emphasizes both heroism and love?
Okay, so we prepared for it by bringing a lot of our own experiences into the characters. So Nathaniel and I talked about like what exactly we wanted this to be, and the kind of the framework. You even said like a Modern Family type of vibe. We were going exactly for that. It was like an office style, like confession cam, you know, saying one thing to the camera, doing another, and having everything be mostly PG. Really, I mean, there's sexual innuendos in the show, but it's not at all graphic. There's nothing really overtly sexual at all, besides the sex bell at the end.
I was about to say I loved the sex bell.
But
it's
even
so
that's
good.
like suggested, right? There's no, there's nothing other than him pulling me off screen, and that still I think constitutes as PG. Maybe it's PG-13. I don't know. I'm not one of the people.
I think there's worse in Disney movies, so I think we're fine.
And that's the point, right? That's the point. There's worse things in Disney movies, and yet there's this fear around showing queer affection and queer love because it somehow will sexualize what children are watching. I mean, there's a whole conversation now about censoring what children read because it could change their sexuality, and of course those people know nothing about what they're talking about. That's not how sexuality works, unfortunately. If it was, then I don't think a lot of queer people wouldn't be queer. You know, they could just control it like that.
Yeah, imagine just choosing, just like, I'm gonna be gay. Sounds like fun.
Exactly.
It's wild.
Exactly. Which, you know what, a lot of parts of it are fun, and I'm glad I'm gay now. But
Totally.
At the time I was coming out, I certainly would have chose to have been straight. Absolutely. So, in terms of preparing for it and getting ready for it, I think that was the question, right? I'm sorry. I think
gosh, I got so involved in it. Like, how did you prepare for that, for something that had heroism and love and so involved in it?
Okay, yeah. So we prepared A, by bringing our own experiences in, B, by making it about intimacy over any kind of sexual. We didn't want it to be sex centric. We wanted it to be intimacy centric. And then the third thing was bringing our own personal what we wish we could have seen growing up to this, and that the superpowers that these characters had weren't the center of the story. It was their relationship, and that was really important to us too. It was that they were two gay men in a relationship together that happened to be superheroes. That was kind of the thesis of what we were trying to create. Not let's be two gay superheroes.
It's kind of like the exact opposite of the comics, which is all about who they are as a superhero. But you gave us the, not normalized, the human of them. You gave us their lives, their feelings, their emotions. They're things that we should be able to see. Like if we were watching a movie and we were watching an origin story, we would get some of that. But the comics, they just give you, this is your superhero. They might be banging these people. We don't know yet. This is it.
But also, that's also what comics are, you know, and that's okay.
Totally.
I don't think comics are supposed to be. That's why film and TV exists. It's to dive in deeper, and that's our job.
I like what the MCU has done. I like that we have gotten more in depth about the characters. I hope that continues.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I was really, really proud that Disney and the MCU finally put a whole episode of queer romance front and
Yeah.
center. Had two men kissing. I mean, up till then it was just holding hands or dancing together, and that was, you know, creating such a big deal. But the fact that they did that, that is massive progress. I hope there's more of it, and I honestly didn't think they were going to do it. I thought I was gonna leave disappointed and not see that, and I was wrong, and I've never been happier to be wrong.
I really thought they would hint at it, like a little joke here and there. I did not think they'd give us Billy kissing another man, and that was amazing. I didn't think they'd give us Agatha and Rio kissing either. And it's like, you just gave us everything, and nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. It was amazing, and people have been oddly quiet about it, and I actually really like that.
But that's, I think, the point, right? It was like up until then, one of my biggest complaints, I was like, I want to see it get like this. I want to see the characters that represent me on that screen, and I don't want you to tiptoe around it. I don't want you to suggest that. I don't want you to to point at it and go, look, we're sort of doing it. Just do it. Just do it, and take the risk, because people will be there to back you up. The queer community is such a big part of the MCU and the comic universe. People are gonna be supportive, and you saying that people have been oddly quiet about it, I think speaks volumes, right? Like, people loved the show. People were really big fans of seeing characters like them on screen, and the people that didn't see those characters like them on screen, they have other movies to watch. They don't need to watch Agatha all along.
Yeah, when they started kissing in the show, I was like, oh my God, people are going to be so pissed. But like, this is what needs to happen. It needs to. You see straight couples kissing all the time. I'm a straight woman. I see that all the time. I'm good. Like, I don't want to see anyone kiss. But if I have to see straight ones, then I should see gay ones too.
And I think that's a big thing too, what you just said. A lot of times we don't even want to see the intimacy.
Yeah.
But we want to see them in love.
Yes. Yes.
And that has been absent up until this series, and I think just having that, I'm just really excited for them to keep exploring that, and I really, if somebody from the MCU is listening to me and Disney, just please don't stop, please keep going with it.
Yes, and if you guys are listening, you guys should definitely look at Evan as Wiccan, because it would, like, I know Joe Locke does great, but like,
he's fantastic.
Variants, the multiverse is real.
That's true.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
As long as Joe Locke doesn't kill me.
Aw, you guys would be such cute variants together too. Like little brothers. That'd be nice.
That would be nice. I would be close to that.
So what was the process of preparing for the role? Did you have any particular inspirations or sources of influence when shaping your portrayal of Wiccan?
Preparing for Wiccan was really easy. It felt a lot like me, so I didn't feel like it was a stretch. I put on a little bit more quirk and a little bit more charm than I normally have in my day-to-day life, and certainly a lot more flirt with Nathaniel. I was definitely like just pumping that up a bunch. But a lot of what you saw was improvised.
I love that.
Most of it was improvised. Basically, the questions were prompts, and then we just kind of vamped. And it's why we're talking over each other and just kind of like, oh, well, it comes off as natural because it was. It was just improvised. So the preparing for it was really just tapping deeper again into what do I wish I could have seen, what do I wish I could see now, and the given imaginary circumstances. What if I was Wiccan, a demiurge, in a relationship with this really hot Hulkling, and we live together and are married, and we've been together already for years, and now what's our life now?
Yeah.
So it's just really just doing the work of imagining what that's like and seeing what happens.
Was there any challenges you faced while portraying Wiccan?
All the time, yeah.
Okay.
The challenges were mostly technical. It was that we had 2 days to film everything.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was just 2 days. It was that a lot of times we didn't know, like, especially that last episode, which is like really in the depths of my subconscious, what that even looks like, what that even is. We had a hard time figuring out what that was until in post production. And so that part was tricky. It was also tricky just like we had a set time to film in an Airbnb. We had a set time to film in a studio. We had to get from one side of town to the other. We had to get, like, all the technical stuff was the real challenge, and having a 2-person crew plus Nathaniel and I. So it was just
Oh,
the
is
four
that
of us
it?
doing everything. Yeah, it was a lot of work on 4 people.
Oh my gosh.
Plus, Nathaniel had to get into a bunch of hair and makeup.
Yeah.
Makeup more than hair, but I also had hair too. Like, they dyed my hair black and straightened it. So, yeah, I'd say that the tech stuff was really what was tricky. Playing Wiccan, playing Hulkling, I won't speak for Nathaniel, but I'm pretty sure he would say the same thing. Like, it wasn't that challenging. It was kind of, it just felt good.
When I asked Nathaniel, he said the same damn thing. He said it was just natural. I'm basically Hulkling, and I was just like, I mean, yeah,
He
basically.
basically is.
So, you mentioned that you read about Wiccan in the comics. Were you always a comic reader, and was Wiccan one that always stood out to you?
No, I didn't even know Wiccan existed until I met Nathaniel. Nathaniel introduced me to Wiccan back in 2020. I think when we met out in Colorado, and then he gave me my first Wiccan comic. I think it was Love Unlimited. Yeah, Love Unlimited by Josh Trujillo, and it was awesome. I loved it. I loved seeing a queer story like in a comic. I didn't even know they existed. This is the story where Wiccan like accidentally creates a reality where he and Hulkling fall in love with different people, and then he has to learn to. They both have to learn to trust themselves and go back to their true love, and trusting that true love as the ultimate reality that they want to be in.
Oh wow!
Really beautiful story. Really, yeah, and it was inspiring. It made me want to see these characters on screen. That was the beginning of it. But I had a hard time fully getting invested because I just didn't want my heart to get broken. You know, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to see these characters come to life in my lifetime. I was kind of just resigned to that. Until Nathaniel offered this photo shoot, which then became a video shoot, which then became a series, which then, like, all this stuff just kind of happened without us planning on it. There was no plan to just release it on Instagram like this and have it be a series. It was just let's create something for our reels was really the impetus, and then it sort of spiraled from that.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is like a whole thing. I thought there was a huge camera crew. I thought this was like a long shoot, and turns out it was just 4 people.
It was just 4 people.
That is so crazy to me. And you guys just did it for like content. That's so insane.
We did it for our so when you're an actor, you need a reel and you need to put out material to see so agents and casting directors can see you acting.
You meant that reel. I thought you meant reels on Facebook because that's where I first saw it. Was a Facebook reel.
Yes. Yeah. So it wasn't intended to be just reels for Instagram and TikTok. It was intended to be for our personal acting reels for casting directors, agents, etc. And then it became, we can publish this and put it out there. Maybe people will like it. And I was honestly shocked, totally shocked when I went to WonderCon in LA with Nathaniel dressed up as Wiccan. People recognized us from the show. I was like, we had that kind of a reach. People were crying.
Yeah.
I was blown away, and it wasn't. And again, I don't want to say this to sound like we did a. I think we did do a good job, but it wasn't that people were reacting to that. It was that they just saw Hulkling and Wiccan in love, and they never thought, like me, they never thought they were going to see that. So they kind of just put up their hands and were like, all right, I'm giving up. But
Yeah.
I'm just really proud of us for putting it out there and hopefully egging Disney and Marvel on to do something similar like this with a much bigger budget and and longer episodes, because I think it's watchable. I think it's pretty good. And I think their relationship is so fun and quirky and interesting and deep and
Relatable.
saucy and relatable and sinister and special. Yeah, it's all those things. It's like Modern Family, and I could easily see a multi-season Modern Family-esque confession cam style show. Maybe that's what they're going with the Young Avengers. I don't know if that's the direction they're going in, but I'm so here for it if and when they ever decide to do it.
I am too, because I feel like it was something very fresh. It was something that we haven't seen in the MCU, but it feels like we should have seen something like that in the MCU by now.
Or at least I won't should on anybody, as I like to say, but I will say I want to see it, and I hope they do it.
I do
And
too.
I'm excited for when they do.
It's gotta happen. I mean, Wiccan's such a big part, and there's really no Wiccan without Hulkling. There's such a package deal.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they have to. So what role do you think Wiccan plays in representing a more inclusive and diverse version of the superhero genre, which has historically been cis, straight, and white?
Yeah, I think you just said it yourself. That's how he. That's his part. It's being a cool, strong, powerful superhero that happens to be gay. That is how he contributes. It is not. He's not this two-dimensional "I'm gay" character. And like, oh, I have powers that are kind of whatever. You know what I mean? Like he's not a throwaway character. He's one of the most powerful superheroes that the MCU's created. At least to my knowledge. So I love that, and that's I think what's so exciting to see them start to explore his character now. And then why it was so exciting to me to explore his character is because he's not just this token throwaway gay best friend. He is a three-dimensional, nuanced, deep, interesting character with a lot of personality, a lot to say, a lot of hurt, and a lot of love too.
I like how you said that, because it's such a weird trope that these franchises use for gay characters, where being gay is their personality. It is everything. There's nothing outside of it. They're either the gay best friend, the bitchy lesbian. It is so strange to me. And I like how you put that. He has so much. He's this amazingly powerful character with a personality, with a life, with past traumas, and he's gay.
Right.
That's very nice.
That gay is not something that is I don't like when gay becomes something that's playable.
Okay.
Right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's what you're saying is like the gay best friend, the gay trope, the gay character that like, oh, the affectations and like, oh, you know, and some of that is part of some people's queer experiences. For me personally, I sometimes feel like an alien within the gay community, because sometimes I don't feel like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can't I just be myself, but I just happen to be gay? And that's okay too. Like I
Yeah.
also have a space in this community, just like everybody else does. So everybody is every gay person is a different type of gay person. There's no one type of gay person. So like, to what you're saying, like when somebody's playing a gay,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm playing gay.
The flamboyant.
What does that even mean? Yeah. It's
Yeah, the
flamboyant. It's sassy.
overly dramatic. It's
High-pitched voice.
Yeah.
Fiery.
It is this one role that they think is gay. And it's like, there's some straight people who are like that too,
Exactly. A lot of metrosexuals, we like to call them. And it's,
Yeah.
and there's plenty of gay guys that are the most masculine,
Yeah.
like muscly power bottoms, typically. that are just so you would never guess as they're walking down the street, and not to say that the fiery, flamboyant, high-pitched voiced men that are gay don't exist. They do, and they deserve a place in the pantheon of anything queer. But there's also a shit ton of other guys out there that are gay that also deserve a space, and that's kind of where Wiccan comes into play too. I think Wiccan is somewhere on that spectrum in between, and that's why I just love him. He's not a stereotype of a gay character. He's his own thing. That's why I just love playing him.
Yeah, he's just Billy.
Yeah.
He's not gay Billy, or he's
Right.
not sometimes he's a little sassy Billy. It's just Billy, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, is there a particular scene or moment in the show that you're especially proud of, or that stands out to you personally?
I think my favorite episode is episode 4, which is when we're talking about Morning Wing, and we're talking about hopping in the shower together. I think is that same one too, and like there were just so many jokes that we built up to for that, and I think that's where we really started to get to the humor and the sass of being in a relationship and trying to make it seem perfect when it wasn't. Because in the comics, their relationship is literally perfect a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's the comic book world. A lot of things are literally two-dimensional because it's a comic book.
Yeah.
It's literally two-dimensional. But when you can dive in a little bit deeper into a film and TV series, like with Hulkling and Wiccan Love Is Power, we could actually be like, is their relationship perfect? No. Because whose is?
It's not really a relationship if it's perfect. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
That means y'all don't know each other.
Exactly. And you're not being honest with yourselves, probably.
Yeah.
So when we started going from introducing ourselves, because the first couple episodes was just kind of like, I'm Hulkling, I'm Wiccan, here's what we do, this is what we are, and then the third episode we start getting there, and the fourth one, we're like, okay, things aren't perfect. We're going to start to being honest now and confessing how things really are going, and there's a cutesiness to that, and there's a real, there's definite humor, but if I could do more of these episodes, like, I'd definitely do more like that, because that was the most interesting to Nathaniel and I think it was like, what are the things that aren't going right that we can start to joke about now and actually laugh at when in our own lives and our own dating experiences we feel sorry for ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like
It's almost like a
get
form
caught
of
up on our own
therapy.
BS and actually laugh at it. And this that was a gift.
Yeah. It's almost like a strange form of therapy, kind of putting it out there. Then you're like,
Yeah.
I can laugh at it, and then dealing with it internally.
Exactly.
So, if Wiccan were to take a break from being a hero for a day, what do you think he would do to relax and unwind?
What would he do to relax and unwind? Man, that's a dangerous question. See, I relate so much to him, so I just answer it as myself.
Oh.
But I think, because so selfishly, that's how I'm going to answer. I think
Of course.
he's probably going to go outside He's going to want to go for a hike or a walk, clear his mind. He's got a lot on his mind all the time.
Yeah.
He can hear other people's thoughts. He's got a lot of other people's minds in his mind. So there's a lot going on there. I think he would. He's a gamer. I think he likes playing video games. I think he's probably comfortable just snuggling up with Teddy and having a night in and eating sweet cereals and sweet things. I'm a huge dessert whore. I eat dessert all the time.
I was going to say, I feel like he's going to go eat a bunch of sweets because he looks like he has a sweet tooth. Because I have a sweet tooth. And, oh my God, it's such a big problem in my life. So
it's not a problem. It's great.
It can be
it's great.
It could be a problem. But I don't see it as a problem. But no, I'm happy.
So yeah, I think you're spot on. Your intuition's right. He'd probably, first thing he does to relax, head for the chocolate cake.
Well, I think so too. I think Teddy's more of a salty kind of guy, so I think they go together well.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, I think about sweets and food a lot, so this is normal. Before we wrap up, I do want to say that what you guys have done is something so amazing. I have friends who are in the gay community that have watched you guys so many times and are like, this is what we need, especially at a time like this. With what's going on in the world, you really did make a big difference. And you did touch a lot of lives.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, where can our listeners follow you? Do you have any projects we should keep an eye out for coming up?
Sure. So, you can follow me on anything at Evan Gambardella. It's my full. It's EVANGAMBARDELLA. And you can also follow my hypnosis journey at hypnotistevan.com. I post my tour dates there with my show. And that's pretty much the big projects that I'm working on. I'm also working on something called Train Your Brain or Mind Painting, which is a self-hypnosis workshop that I'm starting to do at colleges and universities to teach people the skill of self-hypnosis so they can start using that in their own lives. And then beyond that, I'm just auditioning. I just auditioned for a gay character in General Hospital. There was some other roles out there that I keep putting myself out there for. So hopefully there'll be something soon. There's nothing currently in the works, but if you are in casting and you liked what you saw, please reach out. I'm interested.
Well, if you are, wherever you're watching or listening to this episode, just look in the show notes and I will have all the links to where you can find Evan and where you can follow his hypnosis journey, because I think we can all admit that that is super interesting. Like, that is really cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, thank you so much for being here. You were absolutely amazing. And please feel free to stop by anytime.
You're absolutely amazing. This was a pleasure. Really.
Aw,
Thank you very much. You made my night.
Oh, thanks. Yay. So, thanks for listening to another episode of Vigilante Vibes, the first non-toxic Marvel podcast. Check me out on all social networks just by searching Vigilante Vibes Podcast. You can catch all my comic book, TV show, and movie reviews on nerdinitiative.com. Wherever you're listening to this episode, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new episodes. Thanks for listening and have a marvelous night.